When you move out of your hometown, you're dropped into a fresh, clean slate. Nobody knows you, so the people you meet will get to know you for who you are at that moment in time. They won't know you from your past, therefore, they can't associate you with any negative connotations from your past. People box you in and see you as what they remember of you. I'm sure many of you hate walking into your local Walmart because you don't want to see people you know from high school and you want to avoid that awkward "how have you been" conversation. In this video, I'm going to talk about 6 reasons why you should move out of your hometown. The first reason is you're in a toxic household and it's holding you back. So your household and immediate circle can hold you back drastically. Maybe you have strict or toxic parents. Maybe your parents are abusive. Maybe they're manipulative. You might not get along with your siblings. There's a bunch of reasons why your living situation could hold you back. Maybe your parents are scared to let you go because they feel like they're going to lose you. So they purposefully hold you back and prevent you from doing things like going to your dream university and instead make you go to your local community college. Parents could be manipulative, jealous, and they don't even know it. Oftentimes, they don't want to see you go. Also, your household doesn't necessarily have to be toxic. Sometimes you just feel like you need to move out and be on your own. If you have that feeling, then you should make it happen. I personally started feeling like this my senior year of high school. I was tired of living at home and I just wanted to move out. I wanted to be on my own and have my own place. Luckily, I was able to move out and start college the following fall. It was really liberating and it felt like a breath of fresh air. I then proceeded to live on my own for the next 5 years and it definitely shaped me to the person I am today. I'm not sure how I'd be if I never moved out and learned to live on my own. Moving out taught me basic life skills like cooking, being responsible for bills, washing laundry, and basically just living on my own. The second reason is you're surrounded by violence and poverty. We do not get the luxury to grow up in a nice neighborhood. Some of us grow up surrounded by violence and others grow up surrounded by poverty. And oftentimes it's both of them together. Growing up, I saw my neighbor's house have a drive-by done on it. There's this alleyway across the street and I was outside playing. Then out of nowhere I heard these wheels screeching and then I see a car and next thing you know they start blasting down the alley. So they ended up taking off and then these people came out of the alley and they started shooting back at the car. I only ever saw something like this once, but I guess one drive-by is too many drive-bys. And I know a lot of people have probably seen worse than that. Growing up in a violent neighborhood, kids are less likely to go to college or do good in school, not because they aren't capable, but because the environment shapes their future, their outcome. If you're surrounded by poverty, you focus on survival rather than growth. You get stressed out trying to pay bills and put food on the table. Being surrounded by poverty, you have a constant 24/7 stress in the back of your mind. I grew up in a small agriculture town in the middle of the Central Valley in California. The town had its occasional violence, like the drive-by I mentioned, but it wasn't really that violent. It wasn't a violent ghetto town, it was more of a low-income ghetto town, which I honestly think is better. Me and my friends all grew up low income. Luckily, we were the nerd group in school, so we never really associated with the quote-unquote bad kids. We just cared about quick-scoping and doing the Easter eggs on Black Ops 2. We never really went into the bathroom to hit the pen or played bloody knuckles. We always did our work, got good grades, made honor roll pretty much every year. But even like this, we always felt the social pressure to do things we weren't supposed to do as kids, or hang out with the people we shouldn't hang out with. But what if I did hang out with the bad kids? How would that childhood have shaped my upbringing? I don't want to say I'd be in a worse place because honestly that's an impossible question to answer. But I probably wouldn't have gone off to college to get a computer science degree, I know that's for sure. Reason number 3 is being at the wrong place at the wrong time. So one day I was minding my own business, barbecuing in my yard, when all of a sudden I heard cops pull up and they were all over my neighbor's front yard. Mind you, we live in a duplex, so it's the same building, and apparently he was on his quad, running from the cops that had been chasing him. So I guess he went inside his house and they were searching for him. Then of course, naturally, they saw me outside and they came to ask me questions. I had no idea what was happening at the time, but I closed my door because I didn't want cops going into my house. Then a sheriff asked me if he could go inside to conduct a protective sweep, and I told him no. He got upset and then he said, quote unquote, he asked me, "So you don't want to comply with law enforcement, correct?" And so at the moment I remember thinking, damn, that's a sketchy question, but I simply answered with, I don't want anyone going in my house. So keep in mind, I'm barbecuing and the guests that I had invited just happened to arrive at that time, so it was pretty awkward and embarrassing for me because I invited people over and they show up and there's cops trying to go into my house. So anyways, I now need to go inside to get some more cooking supplies, but I didn't want to open my door. But you know what? I said, screw it, I'm just gonna go in and grab whatever I need and come back out. And so I did that, but this time I left the door open because if I kept it open, maybe it would be less of a reason for them to try to accuse me of some BS. And so yeah, I kept it open. They walked up to the door and they looked inside, but because I hadn't given them permission to go in, they didn't go in. I understand from their point of view that I happened to be outside when this all started, which makes sense why they got the impression that I was hiding my neighbor because I kept the door closed. Yeah, it seems pretty sketchy, but like I said, after a while, I kept the door open and they just stood there for about 30 minutes until they got left. And so yeah, honestly, I could have just let them in, but I just didn't want cops inside my house. So yeah, this is an example of how you could literally just be at the wrong place at the wrong time, getting into trouble for not doing anything, all because your neighbor was up to no good. Reason number 4 is your hometown is too small. Your small hometown does not have a future for you, especially if you're ambitious. When I drive by the local gas station, I see the typical unks hanging out, drinking their tallies and playing cards at 11 in the morning. Why are they there? I don't know, maybe they have nothing better to do. Growing up in a small town lowers the ceiling for you. You can't start a business because there isn't enough people to create a viable market for you. Possibilities are not endless, they're actually pretty limited in a small town. People who want a better life all end up leaving. This means that the smarter or harder working people get out and the less hardworking people end up staying behind. So over time, the ecosystem gets weaker and it's nobody's fault, it's just how things are in a small town. Living in a small town also gives the illusion of being stuck in a fishbowl because that's all you've ever known. Moving into a larger city will open up a lot of opportunities for you, such as work, new friends, new hobbies, different cultures, different foods, and ultimately open up your eyes to things you've just never seen before or never experienced. To be fair, these small towns exist for a reason. Maybe they're a mining town, there's oil fields nearby, or they're surrounded by agriculture. There's always something that creates a small economy, and so the small town I grew up in is surrounded by fields of vineyards, pistachio, almonds, walnuts, oranges, and so most of the residents that live here all work in agriculture. My parents worked in ag, and I did over the summers as well when I was in high school. So I guess if the line of work that makes up your town is what you want to pursue, then I guess that's the place to be. But if you want more, then you have to get out. Reason number 5 is you get a chance to shape who you are and who you want to become. Surrounding yourself by new people will give you a fresh, clean slate. At the start of the video, I mentioned that people know you for your past. Everyone already has a certain perception of you. This could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the person, but most of the time it might be a bad thing. If you had an embarrassing moment in your past or a negative connotation that people associate you with, then that's how they're going to remember you. So when you put yourself in a different environment, nobody has that negative perception of you. You get to create the perception people will know you for. This is a superpower because chances are you're a different person today than you were 10 years ago, and you'll now have that chance to showcase the present you to people, not just the past you. I don't know about you guys, but for some reason I find it easier to talk to strangers who know nothing about me than to talk to some people that I've known my whole life. It's a sad reality, but it's true. And growing up, I was definitely more quiet than most people, and that's how people remember me. So when I talk to people, there's this weird stigma in there, but when I talk to complete strangers, that feeling isn't there and the conversation feels more natural. Reason number 6 is getting out of your comfort zone. Do you feel like you're in a cycle doing the same thing every day, week after week? Nothing ever changes. You go to the same job, talk to the same people, eat the same foods, and you basically get bored of simply existing. You start to get tired of life and start wanting a change of scenery, but you don't take action on it because you're scared. You get used to the same routines and don't ever switch things up. Maybe you haven't realized that yet. Getting into a new environment would open your eyes to the lifestyle you're currently living. Think of it this way. Right now, you're blind to your routines and your habits because that's what you know, but if you get into a new environment, you are then going to look back at how you were living your life. Think of it as from a third person point of view, and then you'll realize what the problem was. So when you put yourself in a new environment, you will develop new and different habits in your day-to-day life without even thinking about it. So if you find it difficult to get out of your comfort zone right now, moving out will help because it will literally do that. It's literally taking you out of your comfort zone. The sooner you change your habits, the better, because life goes by pretty fast. Every year goes by faster. We all know this. If you're 20, you're going to blink, and the next thing you know, you're going to be 25 and still living the same life, doing the same routines, stuck in the same old ways, and life moves forward, but for some reason you don't. And lastly, I want to give some tips on how to move out. If you've never experienced this, you probably don't even know where to start, but everyone's situation is different. Some people could pack up and leave today if they want to, and others have families, good jobs that they don't want to lose, and even a home. So if your situation is the first one, one. This is what I would do if I was you. I would research about 5 cities or towns that you would actually like to live in, preferably larger than the town or city that you're in and more affordable. Also keep in mind transportation. You need to decide whether you're going to be driving or using public transportation in the new location you move to. So first, apply to jobs similar to the job you're currently working in. If you're able to transfer, go ahead and do that. The most important part is securing an income and getting a start date. Once you do this, you need to try to secure housing, obviously. So I would recommend trying to get a cheap 1-bedroom apartment, and depending on the city or state, of course, it's either going to be cheaper or more expensive, but I'm sure you could find a place from about $750 a month to $1,200 a month. If you don't have good credit or any work history, then you might need someone to co-sign for you. So if there's someone who's trustworthy, a parent or family member that could help you out with that, that would definitely work. I want to mention that you don't have to move across the country. Moving to a town or a city just an hour away is already a completely different environment for you, and it would serve its purpose the same way moving from California to New York would. For example, I moved from my small town to a larger city for school, which was just an hour and 30 minutes away. So if you're scared you'll get homesick, I recommend you do this. You could visit your friends and family any day of the week if you just live an hour away, and you will still get the benefits of being on your own. Now, if your situation is more complicated, if you have kids, own a home, have a good career, then honestly, I don't have the right to speak on that, as that didn't really apply to me, but I would make similar suggestions. It would just take a lot longer, maybe months to years to plan a move out, but at the end, it would for sure still all be worth it. To close this video out, I just want to say that moving out isn't about running away. It's about growing and putting yourself in a situation that would allow you to become the person you want to become, but it doesn't mean you will. It would only give you the opportunity to build and level up as a character. You still have to work hard, keep good habits, and strive for a better life no matter where you are in the world. So this is a scary decision to make, and it's one that will literally change your life for the better. Guys, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, you could always come back home. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys all later.